The midweek presser just ended a few moments ago, where Dan Campbell once again blesses us with a kind of a midweek performance indicator type of metric or data, if you will. And what that really means, I mean, when you have a balanced approach to KPIs, it's kind of a balance of leading and lagging indicators, if you will, that predict performance. For a leading indicator or a lagging indicator, will measure kind of performance after the fact. And that's kind of what today is. It's more of a lagging indicator of what Arizona did this last weekend based on the questions that Dan Campbell was asked. And then also, the questions that he was asked about the Detroit Lions. So I like to call them key performance indicators. It's not as clean as that, but it does track a variety of metrics through conversation and analytics and breaking down the tape. I mean, that's just, you can fit each one into its own little category. But here are my 6 takeaways from the key performance indicators that Dan Campbell kind of handed out today. So number 1, which we know this, right? We've seen it through 2 weeks already. Arizona is extremely multiple on offense and defense. The offense is very diverse with what they do. Dan had mentioned that they have multiple guys that can hurt you on every play. And of course, with James Conner being a big contributor right away for the first 2 weeks, or early on in this season, he already has 172 yards on the ground and 2 TDs, no passing TDs, and roughly 35 yards through the air. So he hasn't been a big contributor through the air yet, but on the ground, he has been trouble. This is a tough matchup when you have so many options like Murray, Conner, Harrison, and McBride. One, they're all physical players. They're all smart. They know what they're doing on the field, and they're just playing really good football right now, as Dan Campbell said. I believe the Lions can kind of make Murray more one-dimensional. Now, we know that the Lions have consistently had trouble with mobile quarterbacks, and this is going to be one of those games where the Lions come to play and they completely take care of Murray and the run game, or we get gashed all day long. I don't think that there's any in between here. I think it's not going to be like it was against the Buccaneers. I think it's all or nothing in this game. We do not play well in Arizona. But if we make Murray pass the ball, obviously, the way that this D-line is playing and healthy, right? Conner won't have more than 60 yards on the ground in this game, but that doesn't mean that Kyler Murray can't throw another 60 or 70 on top of it, which then can change the way this game ends up, could be a loss if that were to happen. Number 2, Dan Campbell mentioned that the Arizona defense just flies to the football. And Budda Baker is an issue, a big issue. Very physical, very active in the pre-snap. He's sniffing out the play. He gets a lot of latitude from the Arizona coaching staff to just perform, just to do what he does well. Again, he has a lot of freedom to kind of pick and choose what he's going to do, and he's really good at doing it. Dan also emphasized getting to Budda Baker first. I thought that was a great take. We need to show the aggression, right? We need to go out and seek out Budda Baker and make sure that he's handled. Make him the first option on your blocking chart, right? So Dan emphasized getting to Baker first and getting the block. He also mentioned it appears that the past 2 weeks, some of their opponents kind of just shied away from blocking Budda on purpose. Exact quote, he's coming downhill like a missile. So some of these guys are making business decisions, whether they're, missing a block or, not taking the right angle or whatever it is. That's a big problem. You can't just miss guys on purpose. So hopefully the Detroit Lions don't do that. Number 3, the question was asked about Marvin Harrison Jr. and what he's learned about him so far through 2 weeks. Simply said, he's grown. He's making plays. He's continuing to learn. He had a much better week 2 than he did in week 1, but according to Dan, he's getting better every week. Harrison made 4 big plays this last weekend, all which were a little bit different qualities in a receiver. Each play was a little bit different than the other. And it sounds like Carlton Davis is going to have this matchup, the primary matchup. Dan also briefly mentioned that he likes Terrion Arnold, that he's not worried about Terrion Arnold, right? It's kind of what he was going at here. And in the body language, though, is what I picked up, that he threw Terrion Arnold in there to kind of keep Arizona on their toes. Is it going to be Terrion? Is it going to be Carlton? Are they traveling? Are they handing off? What are they doing? We'll find out on Sunday. The Cardinals have 3 premier passing threats, though. And that's Trey McBride, Greg Dortch, and, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. Terrion will get, one of these guys, but he's going to get a heavy dose, in my opinion, of Greg Dortch. And Jack Campbell should be the other option there on Trey McBride if Alex Anzalone is not going to be going in this game. I do like this matchup, or at least I hope that Davis on Harrison is going to be a better matchup than what Terrion Arnold could be. Then again, both being young, rookies, it may be a better matchup to have Terrion on Marvin. I'm okay with either one, but I kind of like Carlton in this position. Obviously, he's not going to have the speed that Harrison has, but I do like the veteran in him that knows how to play and use a little bit of his savviness against Harrison. Hopefully AG gets a safety over the top on Harrison, because to me, that's the biggest threat in this game is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think that the run game is really going to be much to worry about unless it's coming from Kyler Murray. So get some brackets down, man. Get some brackets down on Harrison for once, and stop being stubborn, AG. Like, you're forcing these guys to just, take on a bigger assignment than what they really need. Just make it happen. Put the right defense in. Murray, on the other hand, number 4. Murray, on the other hand, is a problem as well. And look, I am concerned here. I think a lot of us are, as Murray can be very aggressive in the run game with extending plays and opening up the field with his legs, which opens up Connor, right? James Conner also opens up Marvin Harrison and Greg Dortch underneath and Trey McBride over the middle. Everybody starts to open up when Murray is able to move outside of the pocket. Now, Dan Campbell mentioned that Murray had a ton of missed tackles and a lot of missed sacks this last weekend. Kind of what we just experienced with Baker Mayfield. We get the guy bottled up. Probably would have had another 4 sacks this last Sunday on Baker, but he just somehow squirted out of the pocket, while he was surrounded. And Murray is really good at doing that, partly because he's so darn short. You really can't find him, in this mix of 320-pound men that are 6'5" and up. So this is a problem. Lions have a problem with running quarterbacks or dual threat quarterbacks. And obviously Kyler Murray is, it's no secret that he has the ability. Number 5, how to beat the zone offense. So I believe the question was asked, you're going up against a lot of these, you're going up against a lot of these zone style of defense. How can you design an offense or whatever to kind of beat it, or vice versa? How can you beat, what they're doing when they design, a zone offense beater, if you will. Now, when you have an opportunity, to really take advantage of this type of a situation, Dan was talking about being more efficient on offense. And you have to also have patience. Now, it's an oxymoron. You have to be patiently efficient, right? I think what he's saying here is you have to take your time in developing the offense throughout the game, but at the same time, you need to find the matchups, right? Find the matchups this week that the Lions can take advantage of. And when those matchups are on the field, you have to keep them on the field. Go up tempo, hurry up, keep them out. Don't change out anything, because once you swap guys in and out, they can swap guys in and out. So if you get the matchups on the field, press the gas a little bit and hurry up, but also be patient in making sure that you're calling the right plays and you're not getting too stubborn. And lastly, Ben Johnson has to get more creative. I don't think that we're seeing enough creativity, and it's too vanilla where defenses are able to figure it out. So how to beat the zone with the offense, those were a few things that Dan Campbell threw out. Be more patient. Obviously, you got to find the matchups that you match up well with, and then you have to accentuate it. Lastly, Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell for Alex Anzalone. The question was asked, do you feel that, Jack Campbell can step in for Alex Anzalone should he not be able to go this weekend? Dan fired right away and said, Jack's proven himself and will be able to take over from Alex Anzalone, no problem. I'm not so sure here.
You sure about that?
Dan,
you sure about that?
Look, Campbell is not the animal that Anzalone is. He's just not. He does not have the coverage ability that Anzalone has, and it may be a liability against McBride this weekend. I do believe that McBride is going to be tasked with picking on the weakest link in the linebacker room. And if Anzalone is out, I guess it could be Barnes, but I think that, taking Jack over the middle is probably what Arizona is going to want to pick on. Jack's coverage has not been the greatest. And I think that we're really going to be hurting if Anzalone is out in this game. We need that leadership on the field. So those are my 6 takeaways and your key performance indicators for